Hello my quilting friends, my name is Leah Day and today I am quilting popcorn. So this starts out with just a gentle wiggly line and you can just go in any direction you want, and then we're going to top it with this, just kind of a cluster of petals. Think almost of like a flower. So I'm just curling out and then hitting a center point just like that. Okay, so now we're going to turn this into an echoing design. So I'm going to echo that first wiggly line all the way back. And I think I'm going to take this all the way down here just to fill in this weird little gap space I've got here in the corner. Now I'm going to travel stitch over and I'm going to echo around again. But when I hit the flower, I'm going to do what I call a bouncy echo. I'm going to stitch in and kind of hit and bounce against those petals just right between them, just like this. And I just think that makes it look really interesting. It adds just a little bit more thread texture right between each of those petals. It makes it look a little bit more like popcorn. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna travel stitch all the way back. Actually, sorry, echo all the way back. And then this is the kind of the important part about echoing designs. You need to travel stitch just a bit over to create the spacing of your lines. Now this time I'm going to start to soften these echoes so that way they can be just a little bit more of a gentle shape on the outer edge. So this time, instead of going all the way in between the petals, I'm just bouncing and staying about 1/8 of an inch away from where those petals come together. So it's still a bouncy echo, but I'm just staying further away this time. And since I'm over here, I'm going to go on ahead and fill in this corner. And all I have to do to make sure it stays consistent is just fill it in with some gently curving lines. And how do I know that? Well, really simple way of knowing how to fill any design is to put your hand over it, just cover up a part of it and just see what it looks like. If I needed to cut one in half, then that's what it would look like. Here I'm just filling in with something that looks a little bit like that, just some gently curving lines. There we go. So now I'm going to travel stitch down, and whenever you're travel stitching, just slow down a little bit and bring your hands just a little closer to the foot, and that can make it easier to travel stitch and stay right on the line. Okay, for this echo, I'm going to soften it even more, meaning I'm not going to stitch a sharp point even between those petal shapes. See how that softens it up a bit? And that's just part of the design. It's going to make it just a little bit easier to stack these together and form these shapes. And so I just like that look too. So play around with this and see what you think of all these different forms of echoing. We'll go over the design one more time here. So I'm going to stitch a curving line. I'm going to top that curving line with a set of petals. Think like a flower. This design really could have so many different names. But I really like popcorn. That just makes me smile. If you have trouble spacing out your petals, you can see I'm just kind of adding them all haphazardly in all different directions. If you have trouble spacing that, pull out a marking pencil and mark it. That is perfectly fine and absolutely allowed. Okay, so now I echoed all the way back. Now I'm going to travel stitch along this other shape. I'm using the outlines of the other shapes to help me move around the design. And then now I'm going to do those bouncy echoes again, stitch and bounce, stitch and bounce. And this is definitely a more complex design. There's a lot more rules. There's a lot more steps to it. If you feel confused by it, please pull out a pencil and draw it on paper. You might not feel like you're good at drawing, but it's really going to save you some fabric and thread if you draw it first, and that really translates well to machine quilting. It's kind of using the same part of your brain. Okay, so then now we're going to go around, and it's going to be a slightly more gentle curve. We're not going to come in and touch those petals, those spaces between the petals. I'm just coming to a sharp point, and then bouncing away. There we go, and again, echo all the way back. You'll sometimes end up kind of tucked into a weird area. Just travel stitch your way back out again. And then now it's going to be a really gentle curve. Just think about softening that outer edge. That's really the goal here. Okay, so I have this open space right here between all of these popcorn shapes. What do I do with that? We'll go back to that idea of breaking the design up. Put your finger over it, see what it looks like. I think just some gentle curves in this area will look just fine. I could echo this guy one more time. I could just echo each one of these popcorn shapes, and that's perfectly fine. There's no right or wrong rule. I probably wouldn't leave it open and empty. That could look a little weird, like a hole in the design, but you know, that's actually an interesting idea too. It's something to play with and just see what you like best. I like the way I filled that. I just stitched a curve kind of in each direction until it was filled up completely. It looks a little bit like a log cabin to me, only very, very wiggly. So I think that was a creative way of filling that out. So there we go. That is how you quilt popcorn. Just quilt those lines, play with the design, and see what you like best. So that's it for popcorn. If you'd like to find a lot more free motion quilting designs, check out my book, 365 Free Motion Quilting Designs. It's a perfect book to keep next to your machine so you have inspiration while you stitch. Check it out at leahday.com/365. Until next time, let's go quilt.